Okay, this is the Chapter 14 quiz to be taken at the end of the week after 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3 are done, of course. Find the square roots. So for number 1, obviously we're looking for whatever the square root of 81 is. So what times itself is 81? And make sure it's the negative of that because we're looking for the negative square root. So one of the wrong answers on the multiple choice will be the positive square root. Another wrong answer might be the positive and the negative, and you'll be just looking for the negative. For number 2. On number 2, you're actually looking for the positive and negative, so you better have both of them. And you take this fraction, numerator, and then denominator. So what times itself gives you 1? That'll be your numerator. What times itself gives you 9? That'll be your denominator. So your answer will be a fraction, and you do need it to be positive and negative. Number 3. Now we're looking for the cubed roots. So not just what times itself, but you have to use the number as a factor 3 times. You're multiplying it by itself and then by itself again. So we look here. If it's going to be a negative, so we need a negative number times itself to be positive, and then times itself again to be back to negative. So what times itself again will give you 1, and then, of course, it'll be negative. Over here, it's going to be negative again because we've got a negative fraction in here. And you'll just take the cubed root of 8. So what times itself again gives you 8. And then the cubed root of 27. What times itself, and then times itself again would give you 27. So it'll be a fraction, and it will be negative. So the answer here is a negative something over something. Here we go. Number 5. On number 5, you have to evaluate the expression, so simplify all of this down. And the square root of 0.25, what times itself gives you 0.25? Well, that would be 0.5. Okay, because 0.5 times 0.5 gives you 25, but with 2 numbers behind the decimal in the problem, you need 2 numbers behind the decimal in the answer. So the square root of 0.25 is 0.5, and then you add that to 2.4 to get the final answer there. Over here, cubed root of negative 27 is negative 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 equals negative 27. So the cubed root of negative 27 is negative 3. Now we multiply that by 5, and then we add 18. Make sure you do your multiplication first. Number 7, the area of a square game court is 64 square feet. So how long is one side of the court? So it's a square, and the area is 64 square feet. So what times itself gives you 64? And that will have to be the length of one side, because it is a square. Okay? Moving on to the last 2. On this quiz, we're going to be using the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, that is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, in this problem, remember c is always the hypotenuse, that length across from the right angle. So it'll be at 26. So we have 26 squared over here. And 10 squared here, 10 squared. And then look at, they put a y there instead of a b. But no matter, we'll just put y squared. And then we'll do 26 times 26 for this over here, which is 676. Y squared will just stay y squared, and 10 times 10 obviously is 100. We subtract 100 from both sides to be left with y squared equals 576. You take the square root of y squared and the square root of 576, and you get y equals, and you get a number there. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you it is a whole number. Okay, so it's not going to be fraction or anything, not a decimal. It's just a whole number. Something times itself is 576 because 576 is a perfect square. So when you have that, it's that many inches is that side right there. Number 9, so that was number 8. Number 9, same kind of problem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This time they don't give us C, so C squared stays over here. Here we have 10 squared plus 7.5 squared. Well, 10 squared, again, is 100. And 7.5 squared is 56.25. 56.25. That equals C squared. Add those together and you get 156.25 equals C squared. Now, to get this 0.25, we know we're going to have something 0.5. For instance, like 5.5 or 7.5 or something like that, because when you have that 0.5 times 0.5 at the end, you get those 2 decimal places and it ends in a 25. So I'm not going to tell you what this answer is, but it is a something 0.5. And you'll probably just go use a calculator, but you should be able to figure it out just by going through 10 times 10, 11 times 11, 12 times 12, 13 times 13, 14 times 14, figuring out which one it is. This is right in between 2 of those whole numbers because it'll be a something 0.5, and then put a meters on the end, and you've got your answer. So figure that one out. You'll do just fine. There's only 9 problems on this quiz. Hope you had a wonderful week, and good luck.